Welcome back to Real Love Scenario.
Real Love Scenario.
People like our little jingle.
We gotta make it official. We keep saying that.
I know. I need to get somebody to really record a record.
To drop. I got some.
Okay.
I got some recommendations.
Okay. Cool.
I know some singers.
Well, we are back. Excited. If you're watching the visual, a little different, kind of vibe. You still see our beautiful faces here, but a little bit different setup. So, but we're still talking about the same stuff, and it's still a good show.
Absolutely.
I want to start off first, and I guess I could look into my camera with saying this, is that I want to appreciate all you guys. We've had the show has been out since May, and the viewership or the listenership, I should say, has been growing a lot.
So much.
I really appreciate that, guys, and I thank you for that. And one thing that I'll just ask, because we have a loyal viewers who listen to the show. Like, if you look at the first day numbers, it's like very consistent, because it's like, all right, these are our people.
This is our core group.
Our core that's coming every time an episode drops.
Yes.
It means a lot to us. Doesn't cost you anything. If you could just, whatever, Spotify or Apple, just 5-star rating.
We would love that.
That would just mean a lot to us. Like I said, it doesn't cost you anything, but really means a lot to us.
Yes. It's free and it goes a long way. And we really, really appreciate it.
Really
and don't forget to subscribe and share. That's important too. It also doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly.
Yes.
We appreciate that. So before we get into it, how was your week?
Oh, my week was productive.
Okay.
My week was productive. It was I was very happy to see Friday.
Okay. Aren't we all?
Yes, especially us corporate America people. But yes, it was good. How was your week? You had a very busy, exciting week that we can't fully talk about.
Yeah, I had a busy week.
Yes.
Can't necessarily talk about everything.
Yes.
Bree and I did do an event at the gathering spot called Attraction Chronicles, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
And that was a good time, just interacting with different couples and stuff like that. We need to get more guys out to these events, though. It's always a lot of women, but not
really
enough
outnumber.
dudes.
I mean, it's clear single women outnumber single men.
For sure.
Yes. So, but yeah, fellas, y'all need to show up.
They need to show up.
Yes.
Also, as you know, I went to LA. Can't necessarily say what for yet.
Right. Something exciting though.
Exciting. It was a great opportunity. It was a lot of fun. And the one thing that was hot. I always talk about hot.
When you told me it was 108 degrees, I'm like in Los Angeles, like in California.
Yep. They say it was a heat wave. They say it was the hottest week of the summer, and we're there.
It's the week that you're there.
It was like, it's bad when you're in shade and it's still like
nothing's helping.
You're in shade with shorts and a tank top, and you're like, I can't do it. I need to get inside. Like,
my friend Sade lives in Arizona.
Oh, that's
and she's
horrible.
Like, it is unbelievable. She's like, it's so hot there every single day that people don't even come outside until night.
Oh, wow.
If you don't have to come outside during the day, they don't. They just stay inside. It's a beautiful day, sun shining, too hot.
Yeah.
Too hot.
You see, I mean, everybody's a night animals or whatever you call it, nighttime people there, because that's when it cools down a little bit. You can step out, it's feeling nice.
Yep.
You can eat outside if you want to.
Yep.
During the day, nope.
No,
we ate at a restaurant.
We in the air conditioning.
We ate at a restaurant we didn't want to eat at just because we didn't feel like walking to the next one. It was just the first one. We were like, okay,
we stopping right here.
We stopping right here to eat that. And also, before you want to get started, I want to tell people that I will be speaking in Bali on February 2023 for Valentine's Day.
Y'all, my friend's popping, y'all. Follow my friend.
It's a relationship retreat. It's with Adventure in Black, and it's like a relationship retreat for couples who want to, grow their relationship. So it's dope because there'll be like workshops and different things like that. But there'll also be like time for you to spend with one another and have fun and just, enjoy Bali, right, for a whole week. So if anybody wants to know about that, go to Adventure in Black's Instagram page or website, and you can get your tickets there. But Brie and I will be there, so we hope that you will join us.
Yes.
And hopefully Rhonda can get like a bay in that time between here and now.
For those of you that aren't watching right now, my eyes are rolling into the back of my head.
We have faith.
We have faith. Believe. We believe. Anyway, let's get into someone else's real love scenario and not into
yours.
mine. All right. So this week we are hearing from Toten. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. But she says, "Hi, I'm Toten. My boyfriend and I stay about 2 hours from each other. We used to spend a lot of time together, and now we don't spend as much time because of his long hours at work. He now only has Sundays off, which limits the time we can spend together. When I started to feel like he was not fulfilling my needs as he should be, I told him, and he thought maybe we should break from the relationship until he has more time to spend with me. I feel like we could just work our way through this by communicating until he has more time available. I just feel like he feels since he can't be there for me the way that he used to, we should step back. And I don't think this is going to solve the issue. Do you think a break will help us? Because I really don't. What happens if after the break and he has more time, but somehow this happens again? Do we just keep taking breaks? What should we do?"
Thank you for writing in.
Yes, appreciate it.
We appreciate it. So where do you want to start, Rhonda?
Not to go back to my real love scenario, but I have a little experience with this because I dated someone who lived 2 hours away from me.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
This is true.
I did.
We know this.
And yes, we know this. It's like an inside. We know this. And man, it was complicated. It was tough. And while I think people feel like that's not that far away, like 2 hours driving.
Yeah.
If you live in the same city or even in the same like neighborhood as your person, 2 hours feels like
it's a complete difference.
It feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
It really, really does, because you can't just do a lot of spontaneous things like go to dinner after work,
drop by for lunch.
No, everything has to be organized and planned. So I think maybe we should start with just like talking about long distance relationships and how to make them work.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had a long distance relationship.
No.
I've never. So I had my girlfriend in college who I've talked about on this show.
Yeah.
And that was in college. And then Bree. That was really my two serious relationships. And I would never make somebody my girlfriend if they weren't actually somebody I want to be my girlfriend.
Right.
So I never had like somebody that was like super far away or 2 hours away. I guess maybe you have like summer breaks when you're in college or winter breaks or different things like that. But my girlfriend lived in Woodbridge and I was in PG County. So it's like, that's still not
basically the same area. Yeah.
Exactly. And close. At that time we didn't have our own cribs. So it's not like we could have stayed with each other anyway. So we would have to drive to see each other at that time in college because we were back home. So yeah, I never had long distance relationships.
Dang. I was hoping you would have some insight on this. Look, I'm like, because I feel I couldn't do it.
I can give insight, but I
you not from experience.
Nah.
I felt like 2 hours driving wasn't bad, right? But it's funny because when we first met each other and we were talking on the phone, and he asked where I lived, and I was like, "Where do you live?" And we met on a dating app, so it usually tells you that. But I couldn't remember by the time we started talking. And when he told me where he lived, and I was like, "Oh, that's like 2 hours. That's like almost 2 hours away." And he's like, "Okay, like, is that going to be a problem?" My first thought was, hell yeah, it's going to be a problem. What you mean it's going to be a problem? But I was like, I mean, it's just far. And he's like, well, it's not an issue for me. I feel like, if we connect and this becomes a thing, we'll make it work. We really will make it work. And I think 2 hours away working on the same schedule could definitely work.
Yeah.
But it didn't work for us as well because we worked opposite schedules. I worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Plus I have my social life. Plus I have the podcast. I have other things going on. He worked nights.
Oh, wow.
So he slept during the day. And then he worked like usually 3 days during the week and 1 day on the weekend.
Yeah.
And then that rotated. So it was just a bad combination of things. And over time, we definitely, very similar to Toten and her boyfriend, from my work hours to his shifts, we would miss each other, not just seeing each other. We wouldn't even be able to talk as much because when I'm at work, he's asleep. When I get off, he's about to go into work. And where he worked, he couldn't really talk on the phone like that, just on his breaks. So I don't think I would ever do that again. And I've dated people out of state. I mean, he was out of state too, but it was a close state. I've dated people that is like 4 or 5 hours away. And again, I think I'm a little too, I need to touch you. I need to see you. I need to smell you. I need to look in your eyes and not just on FaceTime. Like I need to be around you. And that could happen at the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to be like, oh, well, got to gas the car up and get the dog situated and get on the road.
I think so obviously I haven't done this myself. And I just think the situation has to be perfect. I've seen it fail so many times. Like I think it fails a lot with younger people, right?
Yeah.
Because you see it a lot, especially if you go into college. Like people have boyfriends and girlfriends from like high school and from the past. And it's like, oh, this person went to this school. This person went to this school. It's my boyfriend. Those don't end up lasting.
No.
99% of the time, they
don't last.
No, they don't last.
Yeah.
But I think that your situation started long distance, right?
Yes.
I think that's when it's tough. Like I think that if you start in person, you build a foundation and you have like these things in order in person, and that's how the relationship was built. And then for some reason it goes long distance and you kind of know like what time frame that's going to be. This is for this amount of time. This is how we're going to work this. This is how often we're going to try to come see each other and go back and forth. And I think it works a little different, but starting off long distance without really a definite, like, this is what we're going to do, I think that makes it a lot more challenging and probably why it fails a lot of times.
Yeah. Yep. And like we would just kind of plan to be in each other's space for days. So that was how we would do it because we couldn't just, like you said, drop in for lunch or just randomly grab dinner in the middle of the week. Although there were times when we did that, but most of it was that we would like plan like, well, you're going to come to Baltimore. And you'll stay at least a night, you know, so you're coming up here for several hours. We'll stay the night together. Maybe we'll spend the morning together and then you'll go back. So every time we saw each other, there was this, you know, it was hours of time that we would spend together. Sometimes we would spend a whole weekend together if it was one of the weekends that he was off. But I swear every time it would feel like when he would leave or I would leave, it would feel like, I don't know when I'm going to see you. Like, when am I going to see you again? It would feel so dramatic every time because it would be stretches of time before we could see each other again. I think that's at least for me, like emotionally and how I want to be in a relationship, I do not want to feel like that every time we're departing each other because it's going to be a week or 2 weeks before I see you again.
I feel like that's something in a relationship too, and I asked you this going through that because I remember sometimes when I wouldn't say it was long distance, but sometimes when I had my girlfriend and we saw each other periodically because of this or that, I felt like every time she was there, I had to like entertain her in a sense.
Yes, like you had to, you needed
you had to do something.
Needed an itinerary.
Like we can't just be at home just chilling, not doing nothing. Yes, a day to where we're just not worried about anything.
Right.
Like,
sometimes we would have lazy days if we were going to be like if I stayed with him for 3 days.
Got you.
Yes.
One of those days,
9 times out of 10 is like a lazy day. But yes, you're like on date overload. You're like, okay, we haven't dated in 2 weeks. Let's get dinner. Let's cook together. Let's go to the movies. Yeah. Let's take a hike. You're just trying to
do stuff.
Yes, you're doing like
it's almost like
dating.
Makeup, like making up for the time that you missed.
Absolutely,
being together.
Absolutely, and people say like abstinence makes the heart grow fonder. So, I mean, it does. It was almost like this overwhelming feeling of like I miss you. Yeah. So when I would be driving to him, I would just be so excited. Like, damn, I haven't like smelled him in 7 days. I just can't wait to touch him. I can't wait. I mean, every time I pull up to his house, it's like jumping out the car, like
excited,
like long hugs, all of that. And we both had dogs, so if I was staying or he was staying, he would bring his dog. I would take my dog. So I think it can work, but it has to be a lot of intention and planning in order for it to work.
What do you think were the benefits from a connection standpoint? Do you feel like you've had multiple different types of relationships that started in person, something over a date and that, but with this long distance thing, do you feel like your connection grew with that person stronger because of the distance and you had to like talk and do that? Or you feel like you would have been talking and doing all that if it was in person, so it didn't necessarily make it any different than how you would operate and connect with somebody if they were in person?
I think it varied. It varied across the relationship. Like yes, initially there was so much talking. I mean, but I you know me, I'm into that. Like I like to talk and get to know you. So yes, I mean, we spent a lot of time on the phone. We spent a lot of time on FaceTime. We would even date virtually. Like one of the cutest things he did was like set up a movie night. And we were using this app where we're both logged in and looking at the movie at the exact same time. And it's like a chat thread. So we can, since we're not next to each other, we can just like talk in the thread. And he like made this cute little invitation, like it's our movie night, like sent it to me, like I'm inviting you out on a movie date, but it's virtual. So I think those little creative things made me feel like, oh, that's so sweet. But I felt like it ran out because I don't know, like at some point we would have had to consider if the relationship continued, relocating. Like I do not want to live 2 hours away from the man that I love. Like that's just too far. Eventually, hopefully we would actually live in the same household.
For sure.
But it's no way. But you know what? I met a young lady. I was moving and she is in a long distance relationship. Like I think he lives in like closer to the West Coast and she lives in Maryland. And she was like, they see each other once a month and it works for them. And I'm like, okay.
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
So I know you don't know a whole bunch of details about this situation, right?
No, I don't. Okay. I know that they've been together for years.
Okay.
I know that it has always kind of been long distance. Okay. At one point, they did live much closer, like driving distance from each other, but it was only, I think she said, for like 6 months because I was in that relationship at the time. So when her and I started talking about this, I was like, oh, tell me more. tell me how you making this work.
So she didn't say anything about what they allow each other to do, if there's passes or anything like that. Because I feel like for years, you're telling me 3 years, I've seen you 36 times, basically. Like, that's ridiculous.
Trey said, that's ridiculous.
That doesn't make any sense.
You know, some people really like space. Some people really don't want companionship, like hand-in-hand companionship. Yeah. But it couldn't work.
But I feel like the physical intimacy point, that's just a long time.
Dre, like, listen, girl.
Like 12 times a year? And you talking about committed relationship, just me and you. I'm not the type of person that say people aren't doing it because people like to do that with me, you know, when I was waiting for marriage. But I'll be very interested.
You feel like that's breeding grounds for cheating, kinda?
I just feel like I mean, that's a lot. And to be stuck in that place.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think that it's a difference if you have like an end date, like, you know, I'm going to do this for a certain amount of time. But like you said, at a certain point, it's a conversation like, all right, we need to.
What are we doing?
Are we moving shop all the way over here? Are we like what's the plan?
Absolutely.
Because it can't be a thing for me.
I don't, it couldn't work for me. It absolutely, I won't do it again. I will not do it again. Like, baby, you got to be within 30 to 60 minutes. Listen, 60 minutes is probably the furthest.
Listen, I see some of y'all comments. Some of y'all like Rhonda and you know how Rhonda looks and the stuff that she be talking. She letting you know if you're not in this vicinity, in this area,
it's not gonna work.
DMV or Baltimore or the surrounding suburbs or cities.
It's not gonna work.
It's not happening.
It's not gonna work. I need too much. Like I like my space, but I need too much attention. And I also like want to give you attention. Yeah. Physical attention. So yeah, you're going to need to be around the corner basically.
So I have a question from this message that, you know, our wonderful listener wrote in. And it's more geared towards, and I can't wait to hear people comments on this too and see what their thought is. But what do you think about people kind of making a decision for you that the relationship isn't working the way it needs to work? Like they're making the decision for you to say, I'm not meeting your needs. And you're like, hold on, how are you speaking for me? So I need to step away from this. Versus like, I feel like I can't give everything I can give. Or like somebody saying, I can't do what you need.
Right.
So I'm removing myself.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like a red flag? Or do you think that's a legitimate thing? Or like, what's your thoughts behind that?
Okay, let me answer your question. Let me just answer your question. I think people making a decision for you is usually because you've been saying something or you've been doing something. Like she felt like she's not getting the attention that she needs. And I'm sure she's expressed it or said something about it. Like, you know, I just want to see you more often. And, you know, I know you're working a lot of hours. and she wants to stay together, but he probably is like, I don't want to keep hearing you complain because I can't change it. So in that case, I don't think it's a bad thing because he's making a decision that she's not willing to make instead of adjusting. And maybe he's not adjusting because he can't adjust. Like, I can't see you more often. This is now the situation. If it doesn't work for you, really, you should be telling me, hey, this isn't working for me anymore. I want to, let's walk away. So he's like, well, since you won't do it, because maybe he's cool with it. Maybe he's cool with only seeing her on Sundays but she's not. So it's like, I don't really want to hear your mouth. The best way is just to let you go. Like, I can't make you happy.
So you don't think it's a convenient lie?
Oh, now I will say, that's why I was like, let me just answer the question you asked me, because I feel like anything that you really want, you will figure out a way, even in deficiency, to make sure the person feels as fulfilled. Like I said, with my ex, we couldn't see each other as often as we wanted to.
Yeah.
But he would come up with creative ideas to still make us feel connected. It's definitely not the same as sitting together and watching a movie cuddled up on the couch.
For sure.
But I still felt connected to him while watching the movie together over a device. So yes, I think to some degree he's like, well, girl, go ahead. Because a part of me feels like, is it the job? How do you know? That's terrible to think like that. But is it really now all of a sudden you working all of these hours? Is it necessary? Are you trying to save money? You trying to buy? Like, what's up? What's up?
Yeah, I just want to, well, for those who don't know what a convenient lie is, like, I feel like people do it in relationships, not just relationships all the time. People conveniently lie in jobs. People conveniently lie
in friendships.
And what a convenient lie is basically, it's a lie that conveniently fits within the situation that makes it extremely hard to question that lie, even though you know in your head they lying.
Yep.
You know they lying. But it's like, it's... for instance, a work thing. I'm running a little bit late. My stomach is just really upset. Like, I just, like, I don't know what I ate or anything like that. I may have food poisoning or something like that. But, you know, I'm going to be running like an hour and a half late to work. You know, they've been an hour and a half late every day, damn near, for like the last 3 weeks.
Right.
But you can't quite call them out on food poisoning like, or your stomach hurting.
Is fine. Right.
Like, you can't really question them on that. And I feel like a lot of people conveniently lie in relationships to where it makes it hard to question. So I'm just wondering, like, in situations like this, to where it's like, oh, we need to take a break, or like, it's almost like you're making this decision for me. It's like, yeah, you know, I got so much going on that I can't truly commit to what, you know, and I want to do what's best for you and make sure I can commit to you and give you what you need. So I can't do this because I need to be able to be in a point to give you what you need. And it's like, is that true?
Is that really what it is?
Or it's like, is that? But it's hard to question.
It's hard to question
it, right?
Because it's like, if he hasn't given you any indication, and that's the one thing about sometimes when people write in, you know, I always say, like, I have follow-up questions. Like, I need to start responding to y'all, like, now tell me a little bit more about this. Like, how long did he say is it the job? Have you ever called him at work while he was there to see if he is actually pulling all these long hours? Because to your point, people do conveniently lie. But I will say, if someone is being honest and really releasing you because they do realize they can't measure up to what you need.
Yes.
Or they're lying about it, but they still can't measure up to what you need ultimately. I just think you should take it either way, as perhaps this isn't the situation. Maybe this isn't the right relationship, or it's just not the right time. I mean, there are people who get together, and when they got together, it wasn't the right time. But then they went away from each other for X amount of period of time, 6 months, a year, and then somehow found their way back to one another. And the relationship worked at that time. So it's a lot of variables where he could be being honest, but he could also be lying just to get out of the relationship. But I just feel like, listen, work and careers are important. I'm never going to say that they're not.
Yes.
But I just feel like if it doesn't bother you that you don't see me often, and I'm always the one that's like bringing it up, and you're not trying to figure out how to adjust, then yeah, we're just not on the same page about connecting with each other. We're not. It's important to me, and it's not that important to you. So maybe you just need to find somebody that is okay with seeing each other once a week.
Yeah, I think that there's a saying that a good excuse or a great excuse is never better than just being on time. And meaning that it's like, no matter what the why is or why you feel like you can't do it, if you can't give me the time that I need, it don't matter how great the excuse is. I just need this time. So it's like sometimes, like I said, going back to jobs, you see it in jobs, somebody may have a great excuse why they can't do this, why they can't do that. Yeah. And you're like, listen, I understand, I sympathize, but the store opens at 9 and I need somebody to open up the store every day. So it's like, I get that you have a lot going on.
Sorry that your grandmother dies every month.
Yeah. But if you can't come to open up the store at 9 o'clock, I got to find somebody to come open the store at 9 o'clock. Like, I'm sorry. And it's not that I'm upset. I want you to handle everything that you can handle. I want you to do everything that you can do, but I can't keep doing this. Like a great excuse is never as good as being on time. So I feel like in this situation, I always say this a lot on our show, is like we're focusing on the why, which is normal. But you are basically saying that I need a certain amount of time or I need a certain amount of attention for me to feel like secure and good in this relationship. Yep. And basically what he's telling you is he's not willing to do that.
Yep.
That's what basically what he's telling you. Because if he wanted to do that, then he would find a way to do it.
He would find a way to do it. And it's not even, I'm so glad you reiterated that point. And it does come up a lot to not focus on the why and just focus on the reality of the situation. You are not happy. And she said, I feel like we could just work through this by communicating. So there is a space. She has, to me, created space for him, for the seeing each other to not change. But it's like, it's not just that I don't see you. It's also probably that we don't talk as much. It's also probably that you're not thinking outside of the box or making me feel special or wanted. And it could also be on her too. Those are things that we can't gather from what I read. But it's like, it just may not be the right thing at the right time. It may not even be because he's a liar or he's being deceitful or he's messing around with somebody else, which is sometimes where people's minds will go. It could just be that he realizes I'm just in a different season in my life and I do want to focus on my work. I mean, you have even said like a man who is not really where he wants to be enough from a career standpoint or financial standpoint, he will potentially always not fully connect in the relationship. He needs to get to a certain place where he feels like, all right, cool, I got that. I'm still working on it, but that's pretty good. And now I can bring you into that fold too. So it could be that maybe when they first met, it wasn't a high priority for him to like get into his career, or maybe he's going up for an opportunity and he has to work these longer hours. Yeah. So he's choosing that. He's making that more of a priority than you. And it stinks, but maybe I want to get into this part of it though. Okay. The break. Taking breaks. I think I kind of know how you feel about this.
I think a break without a get back together date is a breakup. That ain't like what?
Okay, so
that's open ended. What a break? Like we're taking a break. All right, so I'm supposed to wait until you feel you are ready to. So what does that mean? I don't do nothing. I like am I just waiting?
Right.
What I say last episode, waiting for somebody to fix your leg. Like, and so I'm just supposed to wait until you feel like
you're ready.
What if after you're contemplating, you realize I'm not the person? What if your contemplating takes 2 years? What if it takes 3 years?
Right. What am I supposed to do in that time?
And at the end of that year, you don't choose me. It's not a break without a get back together date or a check-in date is a breakup to me. And you should look at it as a breakup. Like, all right, if you feel like you can't do this right now, you feel like you need to take a break or break up. Okay, we're moving on from one another.
Yeah.
I'm not
like we're breaking up.
Yeah, we're breaking up. I'm not waiting for you to tell me.
We're not putting this relationship on vacation mode. Like,
exactly.
It's not just on some weird little setting where it's like, we're like not together, but together. And I did this before. Did never
you put them on a break or they put you on a break? Like who presented
I put them on a break.
Okay.
Yes. Like oh God, some of these my real love scenarios, man, some of them just retrospectively, I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? But we were struggling being on the same page about finances.
Yeah.
We lived together. So it was like, well, maybe we should just get separate places, right? We're still going to be together, but we're going to live separately. So to me, that's a form of a break. We broke our living arrangements. We were not together. Be clear. Like once you live with someone and you sleep in the same bed with them every night and like you wake up to them in the morning and then you go into a space where you're now like you went backwards. Like we regressed our physical space. No, like anything that I didn't see in the relationship when we were living together, I saw all of it once we lived separately. And it was cool at first. Like the first month of me moving into my apartment and him moving into his, it was like, okay, you come over here a lot. We have stuff in each other's place. But now you just have more room to function as if you're not in a relationship. And we both winded up doing that. And he most certainly was doing that and anybody he could get his hands on. Okay. He was doing things, people, all types of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm with you. Like if we are going to break, we are breaking up. The relationship is over. And hey, maybe we're both about to be single for another year. That's possible. And if you are ready and you want to call me back or I want to call you back, then hit me up. If I'm available and interested, then we will figure out if we can get back together. But nah, because I don't know what the rules are. How do you function in a quote unquote break? Like I'm not with you, but I don't see other people. I don't date other people.
It's not like a break. Well, this is what a true break is. Because now that I think about it, Bree and I took a break in our relationship one time. And it was when I talked about it actually a few episodes. I don't know if it was the last episode or the one before that, but I talked about a big decision that we had to make and stuff like that. And I told Bree like we're really intense right now and we're really at odds. I need to take the weekend, go to my parents' house, like, and just think this over. So I took all my stuff, not all my stuff, but packed a bag, went to my parents' house, cut all communication for the weekend for like 4 days so that I can really think, go through this, figure out what made the most sense, and then I came back. So I think that that's truly a break because I said, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing it for. I'll be back at this point to check in. And you know, it had the parameters to let you know this is why I'm doing it. This is when I'm coming back. This is when you'll know what the conclusion of my thoughts are. It's not a 2-month thing, a 3-month thing, a 4-month thing. It was like, here's the start, here's the end. This is why I'm doing it. And you'll have your answer at this point of like why or my thought process through this whole thing. So I think that is truly a break. Like I said, if there is
it's measurable.
If there is no date to check in or be like, if it's just like, I think we just need to take a break for a little while. Yeah. Okay. So
like what's a little while? Yeah. Like, is it 4 days or 4 months? Yeah. And if it's 4 months, we breaking up.
Yeah, we breaking up. And it's like, all right, if somebody, telling our listeners this, if somebody says we need to go on a break, first you need to ask why. Like, what is the purpose? Like, why would you like to go on a break? What are you hoping that we accomplish or that you accomplish during this standpoint? I always say don't get caught up in a why, but if it's somebody who you're in a relationship with and they feel like, all right, we just need to take a little bit of space to get ourselves together to be back in this, meaning that this is somebody you're still going to continue with at some point, then it's okay to ask like, all right, what's the purpose of this break? Here? Like, what do you, why, what do you want to get from this? What do you want to see? Like, is it something that you wanted me to do? Or are you doing, or you're working on something? Right. Then when are we going to come back to like figure out what the move forward is going to be?
And what exactly are we breaking from? Like when you talked about you and Bree, it was no communication in these 4 days. So it was, some things are very clear about like what we're not doing that we normally do.
Exactly.
During this break. That I find that a lot of people don't clarify that.
Like
so
what's okay and what's not okay.
Yes. Like, not to throw anybody under the bus, but it's like, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, you know, they've been together for many, many years and he had a baby during their relationship. But when it came out to the public, it was, well, we were on a break. And so this is the break baby.
Yeah, that reminds me. You ever watch Friends?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that was a big, Friends was a huge show.
Yeah,
but
yeah, of course.
That was a big thing that Jennifer Aniston character and the guy Ross that she was dating, that was always like a big thing because she would always bring up him messing with this other girl and he would just always yell like, we were on a break. Like, we were on a break.
It's like, okay. Like, if again, I say that's why I couldn't do it, because to me, if you can pretty much do the same things you would do when you're single on a break, then we're just not together.
Yeah.
Like you think about your job. You take a lunch break. It's usually measurable. Like, yes, it's a 30-minute break. It's a 1-hour break. There might be times where you take a little bit more time, but you are expected to come back and finish the performance. And while on that break, some companies, while it is like your time, some companies still feel like that's within your workday. And it's things that you shouldn't be doing on your lunch break.
Yeah.
Like getting drunk for that hour that you went to go get some food, because at the end of that, you have to come back to work. And so that lunch break should not have a negative impact on you coming back to work.
For sure.
Same thing in a relationship. We're taking a break and it's measurable, but during that break, you're doing things that would make it really difficult for me to like allow you to come back and perform in this relationship. Then yeah, let's not call that. Let's just say that we're not together. And that could still happen. You know what I mean? Like, you could still go away from each other and it's a real breakup. And it could have been things you did during that breakup time that I'm like, I don't think so. In their situation, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, they got through that, which is a lot to get through. To like, she wasn't even a mom yet.
Yeah.
So I'm actually your person, and you went and made a baby with
somebody else
before me, sir. You can't come back. You cannot come back. You cannot. God bless them. Happy for their union, and I know that they talked about it a lot, and how they worked through that. But I will say it's like coming back from stuff like that. You never, I don't think, fully come back. Like, even not to again harp on their situation, but you don't really see or hear about that child. When you see photos of them as a family, that child is not a part of that. And it is, I'm not saying he doesn't have a relationship with the child, because I'm sure he does. But I can almost bet every penny of money that I have that Gabrielle is not like, bring them on over. Come on in, baby. Like, we're taking Christmas pictures.
Not at that point yet. You don't feel like.
No.
Yeah.
No. Hopefully it'll get there because the child is innocent, right? But I say all that to say, I feel like people don't put boundaries around what happens on those breaks. And realistically, you just want to take a break to release the expectations that I'm asking of you, instead of just trying to figure out and communicate and navigate through, how do we get through this difficult time? Is there a way to work through this and still stay in a relationship?
Yeah, I think for people, if they want to know what a real break looks like, you probably do a lot of that in your relationship. If you're in a committed relationship now, or ever have been in a committed relationship, you do that a lot on a micro level, right? Like, you may get in an argument, you like, yo, I need to
take a walk.
I need to take a walk. Like, that's a break. It's like, I'm not breaking off this relationship. I just need a little time to get my head together. I need a little bit of time. So what people normally use as breaks is just maybe a more extended version of that, but that's what a real break is. It's not breaking off the relationship. It's basically like, I need to go outside to get some air. It's basically, I need to take a deep breath. Like, that's what a break really is in a committed relationship. And when you do offer the break, and that's really what you want, you kind of are almost overly letting the person know in a true break that this is not like, I'm not breaking up with you. Like, this is not what this is. I just need a little time to just kind of get my head together, figure out like what's going on. I have a lot going on. Normally, a lot of times people take breaks when like certain things happen. There could be a death in the family. There could be like so many different things, lost your job, got a new job, like different life things that are impacting a relationship to where you're like, oh, I need to take a little bit of break and get my head together and get things together. So in this situation, that could be the case, but I would encourage Toten to dig a little deeper and say, all right, break. when
what does
are,
that mean?
what does that mean?
Like?
What does that look like? What is, and when are we going to check back in to see? Because I'm not waiting out with my broken leg.
Not doing it.
Not waiting for you to come back. I'm gonna find another doctor.
Got to go, baby.
To come fix this leg.
Got to go.
It's not a, yeah, you shouldn't wait.
No, life is short. And
especially we need to, did we do an episode on biological clocks and stuff like that? We didn't do that, did we?
Maybe, but I think we didn't see the light of day.
But I know you and I have had conversations as far as like women go, and it's like that time, you feel like you had that timer, so you don't got a lot of time to be like
playing and trying
games
to
with somebody.
It's just things in life where you are going to have to navigate things, or you will have to be patient with things within a relationship, but not necessarily with the relationship. Like it's like if you decide you want to have kids, you may not just get pregnant the first time.
For sure.
The second time, you may have to intentionally try for months, but I'm not trying to keep my relationship together. My relationship is together. We're trying to create a family.
Exactly.
I do not want to be working on if we're really going to be together constantly within the relationship, because if I have that many signs that this is hard, then maybe it's just not time. And like, we really do try to force relationships and force situations. Like you said, we're forcing ourselves to be with the person instead of being in a happy, healthy relationship with whomever is going to be providing that. We waste a lot of time in relationships trying to fix people and dating their potential and hoping that their actions at some point align with their words. And I think giving someone time, depending on who you are and where you are in life, is cool. But I can tell you, it's times where I look back and I'm like, I probably should have ended that 5 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. Because now here I am at this point in my life, and I'm like, I could have been onto something different, or I could have made a different decision. And even sometimes when you're in relationships, you don't even potentially pursue things. Not other relationships, just other things because you were with somebody appeasing them in a way that was not healthy to you.
Like in this situation, it's like, oh, well, I'm only, let's say 2 hours away, but this opportunity may take me 4 hours away. And I don't know, like, I'm still trying to see this through and see if this will work. And like, you may even subconsciously sabotage that opportunity. Not taking it serious or preparing the way you should be preparing if there's like an interview process. Like, there's just so many things that, like you said, can go into your mind in order for you not to take advantage of not just romantic opportunities, but just life opportunities.
Yeah.
I got one question for you though.
Okay.
And I think it's a good way to, this topic, I guess, there's a good way to end it on. And we need to do an episode on this, and I'm gonna coin this phrase. I'm gonna let y'all know that now. I need to copyright this. It was on camera. I came up with it on the spot. And
I know exactly what you about to say.
Leave and grieve.
Leave and grieve.
Like how you leave and grieve. So when it comes to long distance relationships, and you recently did that, do you feel like that's an easier situation when it comes to like breaking up and distancing yourself because you have that space, you know what I mean? And you don't have to like see the person every day, or like them pulling up wouldn't necessarily be a thing. You've kind of adjusted to them not being around, for a while. And then I figure that if you're breaking up, communication has probably slowly started to die down anyways. On a daily basis. So do you feel like it's like easier to?
Definitely. It was definitely easier. Emotionally, I think it was easier for me for two reasons. One, for exactly what you're talking about. We were already distant. We did not share any mutual friends. We don't frequent the same places. We don't even live in the same town. So I really, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to like run into you at the grocery store or run into you at a festival. I mean, we were enough distance away from each other where even if we both like concerts, I'm probably going to see the show in one place and that artist is going to be seeing it somewhere closer to you. So we wouldn't even see each other socially, like anywhere. So yes, that made it easier. But the other thing that made it easier for our situation is that it just didn't last that long. Our relationship didn't get to get into really like, it was a new relationship.
Yeah.
Right when it started to kind of dwindle for that reason, but for others. But that was really the core of it, that we lived too far away from each other. Our schedules were too conflicting. But yes, absolutely. It was easier. It was definitely easier to disconnect because it's like, I was already barely talking to you.
Yeah.
I don't run into you. We don't share friends. The longest thing that it took to disconnect was like social media. And I even still feel like he was not even that active online to begin with. So it's not like I would even be seeing, he never posted. So I think, he probably saw me, and maybe me popping up was more of a like reminder for him that like, damn, the relationship's over. But yes, the distance, it was just easier. It was easier to work through it. Trust me, we still lingered and had like that emotional, like, damn, this sucks.
Certain things you want to talk about, you want to have conversations about, you wanted to, connect with. But that's what I was thinking, is that it would have to be easier, to do that, to distance yourself.
It was. And like I said, I would never, I don't even know, because I guess that is the benefit. But at this point, I want to meet my forever, right? I want to be with the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. So I don't have to keep doing this. But I would not do that again. Or if I did, like you said, it would have to have an end date. Like if I met someone, let's just say, that lived in New York, we would have already talked about early on that like you already had a plan to move to Maryland, or I was already about to come to New York. Because if not,
how early do you think you should have that conversation? If you start, let's say you meet via social media, you meet via a dating app, and there is some distance, how early do you think you need to have that conversation about your
desires for like where you would live?
Yeah, desires to move, or
I mean, I would say early. I would definitely say early, because.
And what's the rules on that? Is it whoever's making the least, like whoever, you know what I mean? It's
literally,
like,
I was about to answer you and then ask you that question. I feel like it just depends on the situation.
Yeah,
like that's why I say I think you should have it early. Yes, you should have it early, because if you're okay with having a long distance relationship to begin with, and you don't necessarily want that forever, I think you all should at least have a general idea on how will this shake out? Like, who will have to relocate? And then what places would you live? Like, I ask that when I'm dating someone, like, if you didn't live here, would you ever live anywhere else? And what are those places? Because I think we just all assume we're always going to stay where we met each other.
For sure.
But your career could change. Would you, or your life could change, just opportunities could come up. You need to know if your person is a person that's willing to move with you, and or not. They're like, nah, like you can go, but I'm not.
Yeah.
This is home for me. I don't want to live anywhere else. Or they might say, well, I'm willing to live in the South. I would never live on the West Coast. But then your job is like, oh, we want to promote you and we want to send you to the West Coast. You're going to remember that conversation with your person or the person you're dating, like, damn, she said she would never move with me to the West Coast. If I had a job in the South, maybe. Is the relationship a thing where you'll be like, well, I got to let her go if I take this? Or will you go to your employer like, are there going to be any opportunities in the South? Because I really don't want to move to the West Coast. You know what I mean? So I think you should know that early on. And it's obviously, it could change. You could be in a relationship. The person said that in the first 6 months, but then now you're married.
For sure.
And you're like, I'm gonna go with you to the moon. We'll figure out how to get to the moon.
Very true.
But I'm going with you wherever you're going.
I'm like that. Like, I don't know. Like, I love this area, right? I live in the DMV. For those who know, I'm a DMV native. I grew up in PG County.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I've traveled a lot to different places. And I don't feel like there are really any areas that really compete with this place, just off of like Black excellence. Like we were talking the other day with Derek and Mona, and then we're here, and I was like, yeah, in the DMV, like you'll be at a club, it'll be somebody dancing on a bar, twerking, drunk as I don't know what, and then you forgot they're an attorney,
right?
Like, or they're a professor at Georgetown, or like you'll be like, hold on, what?
It's a balance.
That person right there is like, oh yeah. They
we know how to party. We work hard and we play hard.
And it's not a lot of places like the DMV where you can, like if you want to go hang out with black people, black music, I can tell you 12 places on a Saturday night. And people are always shocked, like, 12 places. Like, my city is one, and it's like, that's it. Or you want to go to the hood spots, like, so the DMV, and then with the surrounding Maryland, Virginia, I feel like everything is here. Like, there's not like a restaurant or fast food chain, or it's like everything that there's amusement parks. You're gonna find it somewhere around here. We have the Atlantic Ocean, like everything in Maryland. Like, it's just seafood. Like, you can get everything you need here. Four Seasons, all of it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I always thought that I would stay here. But, you know, with Bree now, it's like, as long as you and I are together, I feel like we can live anywhere as long as it's you and me. What they say, home is where
the heart is.
Where the heart is, essentially. So that, you know, I definitely resonate with that. But I do want to say this with the point that you were making, is that when it comes in relationships, all yeses aren't created equally. And I need people to understand that, because sometimes a yes isn't really a yes. And the resentment from that yes could tear down your whole relationship. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know you know that, you experienced that. It's like somebody saying yes to something that they really don't want to say yes to. And you need to learn how to read that within your partner, because you'll get to a place and they said yes, but that resentment that they hold for doing that, oh man, it'll eat them up. And then it'll start to affect your relationship and the way that they treat you. And it'll tear down the whole relationship just basically off of a yes that they didn't even really want to say yes to, but they didn't want to disappoint you. They didn't want to like
make you think they weren't as committed.
And but all yeses aren't created equal. I have learned that.
They are not. they are not. And I would say, I feel like you like underlining, like you saying it low key. But I feel like women do that a lot. Like, we will go along with something or say we're cool with something that we really are not okay cool with. Yep. And then we will fester. That thing will eat you alive. Like, well, I like, my mom says this, she's told me this about like becoming a mother and having like that she gave up dreams. She agreed to have a child with a man, although that's not really what she wanted to do at that time. And so it's like, she looked back 20, 30 years later, and it's like, I didn't really answer the question truthfully. Wow. I should have really said, no, I don't want to do this, but I said yes anyway to appease him. And now I'm pissed because now I got so far into it, and either it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, or, you know, this is cool, but I would have rather did something else. So like, my mom wanted to be a mother. She just didn't necessarily want to become a mom when she did, more specifically with my older brother. Because my mom was she had him when she was 19. So it was just like, I urge women to like be honest about what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. But really everybody, like, don't say yes, or if it's a yes with contingencies, say what the contingencies are. For like, sure. Yes, I would be willing to relocate with you if this, that, and that were in place. If those things aren't in place, then I don't know if I would be willing to do that. Or yes, we can start a family next year, but we need to have purchased a house. We need to have $50,000 saved up, and I need to be in a position to not go back to work for 6 months.
Yeah.
So if you want to start this family, these are the things that I would feel comfortable with starting a family if all these things were lined up. Just give the full answer. Yes. Don't just be like, yeah, baby, I want to have a baby. Well, that just says you're willing to do it anytime,
for sure,
at any point, with nothing else.
And on the flip side, if you're asking somebody to do something, just know that, like I said, that yes is not going to save your relationship. When things hit the fan, you ain't going to be able to say, well, you said yes. That saying you said yes ain't going to save your relationship. It ain't going to do it. It ain't going to save it, because it's already gone to pieces now, because that was a situation. So you can hint if somebody's like, I mean, I guess, I mean,
whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do. It's like, you need to push on that. Like, no, like, be honest with me.
Yep.
What do you like? Does this bother you? Like, are you sure? Like, what do you need to make you feel more comfortable? Like, if it's about moving, do you want to go visit again? Do we need to just kind of fill out?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, like different things. Do you want to? I've seen even people when it comes to moves. It's like, well, you can stay here. I know your friends, your family are here. If it's okay to meet them, go first. You come and visit, and then if you feel comfortable going back, after 6 months, if you feel like it doesn't work, then maybe we'll figure out a different plan. But like, don't accept yes all the time, because that yes, they are not created equally. And like I said, that yes will not save it when it's all said.
It's so
true. How many times you could say to somebody, well, you said that you were okay with, I ain't okay with it now.
I said what I said. My mind has changed.
Exactly.
My mind has changed. But now what? Yep. No, for sure. I mean, Toten, I feel like, I think we kind of answered it a little bit earlier, but essentially whatever the reason is, whether it's a convenient lie or, he is really being honest that he cannot show up in this relationship like you need him to show up. I do think that you should, maybe take one last attempt to just talk through it. And maybe he doesn't fully understand that there are alternatives. Maybe you are making it seem like, I need to see you. And if I don't see you, this relationship isn't going to work. Perhaps there's some happy medium. Like you said, we could communicate through this. Well, what does that look like? I don't know if you all have had that conversation, but if you have, and he is still like, I'm not going to be able to see you, and if that's important to you, we should just go ahead on and take a break. Just walk away from it. I feel like these last few episodes, our advice has kind of been like, damn, let the relationship go. But really, he told you, we just need to break up, or we need to take a break. Don't take no damn break. Either work it out, stay together and work it out, or break up. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. And I just, as you were saying that, I think that a lot of people don't ask the right questions when they're talking to people, and they're not as direct if they need to be. And I'm thinking like in this situation, it's not about time thing or like, how much time do you have? How much time do I have? I think the first question I would probably ask if I was in this situation is, obviously we're off a little bit and things aren't operating the way that I feel like they could be at the most optimal, or you don't feel like they're operating the best. Like my first question would be like, are you willing to do what it takes to figure this out? Like, are you willing to do that? And if it's a yes or no question, because if it's a yes question, all right, let's get to the drawing board and see like what we need to make this work. But if you're telling me you're not even willing to do what it takes to try to make this work, or like us put our heads together to come up with a better solution, then this is a non-starter. We don't need to brainstorm anything. We don't need to think about anything, because if you're not willing to try, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know what the end of result of it will be. I don't know. I'm just want to know, are you willing to try?
If you're not willing to try, then it's
a yes you gotta
or no
have question.
You gotta have somebody in the ring with you.
It's not, I mean, maybe if things could, no, I'm not asking you, could you be on the phone with me a few more? Nah, there is no maybe.
Right.
Are you willing to try? Are you willing to put our heads together and have a conversation? So that's the first question I would ask, and that will let you know the intentions. If there's any hesitation, any like, well, I mean, we've been doing it for so long, I'm just trying to see how, I can't see how it could work the way we could, like all that. Nah. Because somebody who wants to make something work is like, oh, no, I want to make it work. Like we just, I don't know how to, but I want to make it work. So maybe we could figure out something. Like we'll figure out something. And that also bringing this all together is long distance relationship take a lot of commitment and sacrifice on both sides.
Absolutely.
And that's just relationships in general. So it seems like in this
at that distance, it's a whole nother thing
exactly
to manage.
And for this situation, it's like, it sounds like it's going to take sacrifice maybe on both sides if you're committed to this relationship. And some people sometimes aren't willing to make the sacrifice for that relationship at that point in their life.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean that they don't love you or they don't care about you. It's just what it will cost to continue the relationship. They're not willing to sacrifice that at this time. And that sucks.
It sucks. It very much. So like even when you were just saying it, I was like, damn. But it's true. It's true. And I think that whole leave and grieve episode, when we get into that, just to explore just even the sting of someone telling you that, I love you and I enjoyed this relationship and it's been whatever, that grieving literally starts at that very moment when those words come out of their mouth, that like, I can no longer provide to you what you need in this relationship.
For sure.
And I am also no longer willing to try to provide that to you either. Whoo! Stab me in my chest. Like, but you have to see the glass half full too, because the reality is you don't want to be in a situation where someone isn't willing to show up to give you what you need, and or is just being very honest with you that they can't do that. You don't want to be in that anyway. You want someone who is really willing to move mountains to make sure that you are happy, because that's what you're doing. You're moving mountains to make sure that they are happy too. So it stings and it sucks, but it's necessary.
It's part of the process.
It's a part of the process. Part of the process.
All right, you got any bad advice?
I do.
Okay.
I have bad advice that works this week.
Okay, she got some this week. Okay.
Yes, my bad advice that works is, I'm assuming that you both have social media, and he sees you, and you just agree to the break. Like, yeah, that's fine. Like, do your thing. I get it. You're working a lot. It's cool. We're on a break, and during that break, live your best life.
And let them see it.
Drag it all up and down the gram, all over Facebook, like looking good. Listen, even post some of the things where it's like, is she on a date or is she not on a date? Can't really tell. It's no friends in the photos. Like, I don't know. Just, I feel like sometimes somebody will see that, like he could see that and be like, oh no, I got to pull her back up. I got to bring her back in. I got to, let me get out here. So sometimes you have to show someone what they're missing to make them be like, you know what? Let me get a different job. Let me tell my employer, I'm not gonna be able to work overtime for this next week. I got to go get my girl back. So
you're not suggesting it. You don't want you to take that advice, but I like that bad advice.
You like this bad advice?
Look around and coming today with some good bad advice.
Hey.
I would like to piggyback on that. Yeah, I like that. That's bad advice that works. I mean, accidentally. Oh, I didn't know you was in my close friends. My bad. That picture wasn't for you. I thought only my girlfriends was in there. Or I forgot to remove you from my close friends. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
With that hand, with a watch on your hand.
Yeah.
He gonna be like, who?
It's the flowers. Girl, go to the grocery store, get you some flowers, baby. Put them in them vases and take pictures of them with a little heart eye. Like, thank you. That's it. Nobody's tagged. Thank you, heart. Whole time you bought them. You bought them flowers, like, hate to say it, but sometimes envy, somebody seeing that somebody else might want you or you might be slipping away, will get them, straighten them right on up. It's a little act right. A little act right for you. So that's my bad advice.
That's good bad advice.
That works.
Look at you. I'm gonna take that one. I'll piggyback on that one. I like that. That's a good bad advice.
Thank you.
Don't take it. So it's not the healthy thing to do.
It's not.
But
it's a little messy.
A little messy.
But Toten, we really appreciate you writing in. Yeah. Hope your situation works out. We always ask for updates. Send us an update. Let us know how it goes, girl.
For sure.
Crazy times. But listen, if you want to write in, you can hit us up, relationshiprestored.com. Go to the contact section. Listen, give us the details. You see, I like the details. Bring me the juice. I need to know exactly what's happening, how and why. Definitely follow us online at Relationship Restored. I'm at Ronnie Higgs.
At Straight Smith.
And listen, we'll see you next time.
Peace.